and he ain't privileged.
Months earlier, the Reverend Jim Jones was preaching from the pulpit at the People's Temple in San Francisco. His followers, mostly poor black men and women, gave Jones their money and their loyalty.
Just ask me your question, and I'll tell you right straight from the shoulder where I stand.
Jones said he stood for social and economic equality, a utopian society.
You know what I hope is true? I hope that the world my kids live in, where they don't think about race as a dividing issue, they don't even mention that their teachers are black, and sometimes they date in a race, they don't even talk about it, they don't make a big issue about it. I hope that becomes our country someday, Pat. Do you agree?
Let me tell you something.
Would you like to see that country?
Look,
would you like to see a country where race
I would like
didn't
to
matter?
see Dr. Martin Luther, the King's dream of one nation, one people. Chris, that ain't the world we live in, and you're got to describe reality, not what you would wish it to be.
That's why we have.
Brother, we love you. We thank you so much. We love you. We love you. Come on, let's sing We Shall Overcome.
I think the early 60s had been a time of great optimism. There was a belief that we could change the world through social movements. With various assassinations of Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy, there was definitely a feeling of hopelessness. The message of People's Temple was, no, the dream is alive.
I don't think we've seen that. But what we've learned over this year is that hope is making a comeback. It is making a comeback, and let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult lifetime, I'm really proud of my country. And
there was an attitude of, we can change the world, and that's what we wanted to do.
God bless you for being here, and let's go on and win.
The Moscone election was very close. The margin of victory was probably no more than 4,000. So you had to credit a big chunk of decisive votes to People's Temple.
The reward for the election of George Moscone was the appointment of Jim Jones as chairman of the City Housing Authority.
What was once a really boring meeting all of a sudden became like really interesting when Jim Jones became the head of it, because we all came down on the buses and we were instructed that when Jim came in we stood, and when he left or spoke we'd stand and clap.
Jim Jones had political power that...
All right, let's get back to work.
Are you happy here?
Oh, I should say I am. I've never been any happier in my life.
You want to stay?
Definitely. I like it here, and I won't want to go back for nothing in the world.
Senator Barack Obama. Come on, show some love for Senator Barack Obama.
Children were killed by injections.
How do you feel about it? You may die tonight.
Yes, I think you all should die tonight at the sound of turn. I'm willing for it.
I'm prepared to die for this family if I have to for freedom. Thank you, Dad.
But no one died for freedom that day. They died because the Reverend Jim Jones ordered them to. 25 years later, the question still remains. Why?
We're gonna spread freedom. Obama's gonna change it. Obama's gonna lead 'em.
There was a belief that we could change the world through social movements. With various assassinations of Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy, there was definitely a feeling of hopelessness. The message of People's Temple was, no, the dream is alive.
One and all, for the time is now, I say.
was definitely a feeling of hopelessness. The message of People's Temple was, no, the dream is alive.
It was a creed written into the founding documents that declared the destiny of a nation. Yes, we can. It was whispered by slaves and abolitionists as they blazed the trail toward freedom. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. It was sung by immigrants as they struck out to distant shores, pioneers who pushed westward against unforgiving wilderness. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. It was the call of workers who organized, women who reached for the ballots, a president who chose the moon as our new frontier, and a king who took us to the mountaintop and pointed the way to the promised land. Yes, we can to justice and equality. Yes, we can. 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 Yes, we can to opportunity and prosperity. Yes, we can to opportunity and prosperity. Yes, we can heal this nation. Heal this nation. Yes, we can repair this world. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
I have to tell you, it's part of reporting this case, this election. The feeling most people get when they hear Barack Obama's speech, I felt this thrill going up my leg. I mean, I don't have that too often.
Steady.
No, seriously, it's a dramatic event. He speaks about America in a way that has nothing to do with
Barack
politics.
Obama can't help it if he's a magna cum laude Harvard grad and you're a Walmart shopper who resurfaces driveways with your brother-in-law. Americans are so narcissistic that our candidates have to be just like us, not very bright. And that's where the McCain camp gets their strategy. Paint Obama as cocky and arrogant and wait for America to vote him off like the black guy in every reality show. A black president? Half of Pennsylvania isn't ready for a black quarterback.
We've been asked to pause for a reality check. We've been warned against offering the people of this nation false hope. But in the unlikely story that is America, there's never been anything false about hope.
I want change, it's all
I want change. I want change. The hopes of the little girl who goes.
That's change, all right, but that's not the kind of change America needs. It's not the kind of change America wants, and it's not the kind of change we can abide in a nation we still call God's country.